Welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm Kathleen Walter. With us now on the phone from near Houston, Texas is Catherine Engelbrecht, the founder and president of True the Vote. And Catherine, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Kathleen.
True the Vote recently uncovered interstate voter fraud in Florida and Maryland that occurred during federal elections. Tell us what you found out.
Sure. Well, it's part of an ongoing project that we have at True the Vote, comparing voter patterns in cross states, and in this particular instance, we looked at Maryland and Florida. Found 173 cases in which we have exact matches of personal information, if you will, the information that's given when you register to vote. Exact matches between voters in Maryland and Florida, actively registered in both states and actively voting in the same election cycle in at least two states. So we've turned that over now to appropriate authorities in both states and to the Department of Justice Election Crimes Division.
173 cases, not a huge number of votes here, but just give us some insight into just how widespread of a problem voter fraud is and how can it impact a federal election?
Well, I often like to compare it to sort of death by duck bites. This is 173 between Maryland and Florida. Now, run those same iterations between Maryland and every other state, and Florida and every other state. And even still, you're going to obviously get some number that's going to be shocking to those who've had their votes canceled out as a result of it. But it certainly only points to one aspect of the problems that we face in our electoral process. The fact of the matter is, if states were allowed to maintain their voter rolls, removing voters who have not voted in two or more federal election cycles as federal law mandates that they do, we wouldn't see these kinds of problems. But instead, what we have is the Department of Justice who actively sues states for trying to clean their voter rolls. And, when you don't clean house, at some point, the dust starts to cover up the truth.
Catherine, as you're aware, North Carolina Governor Pat McCrory signed into law new changes in how residents there can vote. That includes requiring residents to show a photo ID at polling stations. Now, the NAACP and other groups are threatening legal action or have filed legal action already. And the Obama administration has said it plans to take on Texas and other states, possibly North Carolina, over what it considers potentially discriminatory changes. How do you view this?
Well, I think it is a sad commentary that we continue to see this administration engage in overtly partisan gamesmanship coming down on states when you've gotten Supreme Court rulings that say that voter identification and other such measures are appropriate, and that the Voting Rights Act and the sections that they addressed in their judgments that were first put into place in 1965 no longer reflect where we are as a nation. Where we are as a nation is at a point where the majority of Americans do want photo voter identification. We do want to believe that our elections are being conducted with integrity, and that requires a level of accountability that this administration seems unwilling to allow to go forward. I am very encouraged that states are moving to assert their 10th Amendment rights and run their elections as they see fit. And I only hope that citizens stay engaged and continue to stand by their states and against the continued federal government encroachment into what is a state process.
And on a separate topic, the GOP says that the IRS still hasn't fixed Tea Party problems. True the Vote was among the conservative groups targeted by the IRS. And last time I talked to you, the IRS was still targeting your organization. Is that still the case? And is the GOP right in saying that the IRS still hasn't fixed problems targeting the Tea Party?
Well, that's absolutely the case. We filed our application in July of 2010. Here we are, July of 2013. We are still waiting for nonprofit confirmation from the Internal Revenue Service. We've answered nearly 300 questions. We've submitted thousands of pages of documentation, and nothing, except bobbing and weaving again from the administration. I think it is far from over. There are still far too many unanswered questions, And if you ask me, I think this goes deep into the West Wing before it's all said and done. I hope that we get those answers.
And Catherine, last question for you. You are suing the IRS with the help of high-powered Washington attorney Cleta Mitchell. Can you update us on the lawsuit?
Absolutely. We filed the lawsuit against the IRS and certain individuals in the employ of the IRS, including Lois Lerner and others. We filed that in May. We actually have since amended that filing to include more agents and individuals as we become increasingly aware of, the web of people who have been involved in this. And we are determined to stay the course with this lawsuit and try to do everything we can in the discovery process to understand who knew what when. And I think that we're going to find far more than, sadly, than any of us bargained for, but we'll confirm some of our worst suspicions.
All right, we'll leave it there. Catherine Engelbrecht, founder and president of True the Vote. Always good to talk to you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.